Breaking the news with the Chris and Andre Show.
Welcome to Breaking the News, the segment where we scour the globe for the most interesting stories and give you our take so you don't have to think.
With a slight insult to that intro, but we're glad you're here, and let's get into the news. Headline number one, the Biden administration is capping the cost of internet for low-income Americans. I think that is brilliant. I can go back to the days when everybody said that the internet was going to be the road to, for a lot of people to do magical things back in the 90s. That is yet to come to fruition. So I don't know if it's a matter of cost, though. I think it's a matter of access in some places, especially rural areas. But I think it's a good move. I don't know. I do have some reservations about it, but not anything major. But I do think it's a good step in the right direction. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of things, this isn't I just solved the entire problem with the internet, Like, it doesn't guarantee access for people. It doesn't mean that everybody in rural areas is automatically going to have service providers other than Starlink. But it is a start, and I think like that's kind of what we've been begging the Democrats to do for the last 2 years now, is like start somewhere. Don't try to jump to the finish line. Like, let's start somewhere. And so again, like, not the end all be all of internet was for everybody, but I think as important and as integral as the internet has become for most people to be able to do something, this is a really good step in that direction. This is something that honestly should have been done 3 years ago at the start of the pandemic, when everybody essentially kind of had to go remote. Like, I think, that's something that the former guy totally could have been working on to try and put in place so that people that were having to stay home and work remotely, if they were low income, were able to have access to the internet, get their kids in school online, whatever it took that way. But I digress. Next up, we have the former guy, speaking of Donald Trump, who swears that he has no idea what happened to these 4 cell phones that Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, is subpoenaing for or asking for in terms of evidence. Also, apparently claims he doesn't use a computer to do business because this is only 2022. I mean, like, who uses a computer, right? Like, not Donald Trump, apparently, because you can't, I guess, chew up a computer file when you're done with it. You can't flush it down a toilet. You can't abscond with it to Mar-a-Lago and then later be like, oh, sorry, I didn't know these weren't for me to take.
I've often wondered if that I don't use a computer thing was just a gimmick in public, because there's been a number of interviews where he doesn't have a computer in his office. But I think low-key he's got like a computer like hiding under a Big Mac box or something that nobody knows about. The idea that he's lost his phones is ludicrous, and he says he's got the Truth Social phone that he only uses to post truths,
which he obviously isn't using since he never posts on Truth Social. So like, what was the point of even mentioning that other than to plug his crappy failing social network?
Yeah, the second thing was poor Samsung. They called out his Samsung Galaxy. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure that you didn't want that product placement, but apparently dictators use Samsung.
Good to know. Watch out for everybody. We're carrying a Samsung.
This next article breaks my heart, but it's so on brand for Duke. An employee was fired after... Actually, I'm sorry. It's so on brand for Duke. No, I got to stop saying that. It's so on brand for the falsehood, which is corporate diversity training in HR departments. A Duke employee was fired after reporting his boss's comments, basically saying the black employees are lazy. This article doesn't surprise me. I don't know the ethnicity of the person that reported their boss, but I'm going to assume he was Caucasian. But there was a lot of, and it wasn't Duke University's, faculty, but it was, I believe it's the ground maintenance or janitorial team or something like that.
And wasn't it also part of the Duke University hospital system?
Yeah.
It wasn't like directly, obviously the hospital is tied to the school, but just for clarity's sake.
Which is another scam in and of itself. I just have a problem with like university hospital systems, to be honest with you. But we could talk about that some other time.
You mean like UNC healthcare?
Yeah, I just think that these nonprofits sure are making a lot of profit. So
ain't that the truth?
So this article kind of it is the key thing that stood out to me was when the guy's manager said, "We don't do that crap around here." The hoity-toity HR diversity stuff. Companies don't buy into that because you have a culture and employee base that may or may not be racist. So, I hope there's a positive outcome to this story. I doubt it. Somebody will probably get paid off. There's the typical retaliation, and it's depressing.
I think worst case scenario best case scenario from our perspective is that the person who said this stuff gets fired. Yeah. Right? Like, most likely they don't even end up getting fired. They probably get transferred to some other department where they can hide them. And that's basically the end of it. And this guy gets absolutely nothing out of it. I will say, I guess, like, kudos to this dude for not just letting that slide and like actually taking the time to report it. I think you always kind of know when something like that happens and you report it that you are risking retaliation, because if that person feels comfortable saying that kind of thing, chances are that there haven't been consequences for that person in the past. But ultimately, I think you're right that it just kind of underscores the fact that all of these diversity efforts that come from HR and from corporate that are pushed down are just a CYA move. Like, it's when litigation comes, well, we did everything we could. We had a diversity training course. We made the black people sit with the white people, I don't know what you want us to do. Like, how about you just don't hire racist people? Or fire the racist people when they're being overtly racist in their job.
Yeah, they're allowed to be racist, but just not at work. So
exactly. You want to be racist? Do it on your own time.
We're not paying for your racism.
All right. So next up, our favorite person in the world, Elon Musk, obviously has been in the news a lot lately for his attempts at acquiring Twitter. He's in the process, supposedly still of buying it for, I think, $44 billion for some reason. That seems like an idiotic amount of money to pay for a social media platform, but he thinks that he has the magic touch to be able to turn this around. What's it going to take? Firing roughly 1,000 people, slashing executive pay, which I don't necessarily think is like a terrible idea, and then also quintupling revenue to $69 million by charging people $3 a month to use the blue verified stuff on Twitter. Like, everybody's got to be verified, and then he's going to charge you for it on top of that. So it turns out that Elon Musk is not really some sort of genius. He's just like every other CEO who's going to fire a bunch of people and start charging people for things that have been free for a long time. So good job, Elon.
It's so easy with this guy. Like, I don't want to. I'm actually bored of pointing out his flaws. Nothing that he does surprises me. What does surprise me is the amount of people, and it's primarily journalists, that tend to think that he's going to be the savior of Twitter, or he has some redeeming qualities with this. And it's also, aside from the journalists, there's a group of people that tend to believe that he is some futurist, and he's not. Like the Tesla truck, I literally saw Rivian driving down the street like last week, and I'm like, well, they did it. So that was my first response.
Tesla just recalled 130,000 vehicles because the display screens on them, which are uber important to the actual functioning of the Tesla, will just shut down and go blank.
Yeah.
Like, that's the quality of product this dumbass and his company build. So.
Well, actually, our taxes built them also.
No, that's fair.
So I don't want to hate. I'm bored.
Yeah.
Next. I didn't even want to do a next anymore. I was just like, I don't have the energy. It's so easy. It looks like the person that should have been told to shut up and play football keeps coming up in the news. So Brett Favre is being sued by Mississippi for swindling them out of $24 million. Now, every time I see something related to this story, he's got this. His strategy is just to deny. He's a piece of crap. I just can't. I think this is another headline where I'm just like, I'm bored. I mean, it's the same guy. It's the same. It doesn't surprise me. There's a number of people and organizations that took advantage of the COVID funding, and then as you start to peel back the layers, you see that there are more people that have means that are taking advantage of programs that can help others. And Brett Favre he believes his own press and drinks his own Kool-Aid. He's a piece of shit. So thanks, Brett.
I think the question starts to become, at one point, are these programs actually designed for people like Brett Favre to take advantage of them, right? That they're on face presented as, oh, we're trying to help people. But ultimately, it's really just a massive wealth transfer where it's like, here, take tax dollars and give it to more wealthy people.
Well, you know what? I was driving back from somewhere the other day, and I started thinking, I saw some nonprofit doing something. And I just immediately said to myself, we should get rid of nonprofit organizations. Because, to be quite honest with you, they do turn a profit. They actually distribute the funds to where it looks like they're not turning a profit.
Right. It's just a bunch of fancy bookkeeping, ultimately, that keeps them in the 503c category.
I think we should abolish the 503c and see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't believe in NPOs or NGOs anymore. I just think they're all. I think I'm getting very cynical in my old age, or I'm starting to see through the looking glass here that maybe it's not all what it's supposed to be. So.
Again, I think it's one of those things where it's like maybe it was originally designed with the idea of providing an avenue for people to help other people, but now it's just another way for people to take advantage of a system that is being rigged for them and not for the rest of us.
Or not rigged for us, but equitable for us, right?
Well, yeah. That benefits them and doesn't benefit us. Yeah, I don't want it to be rigged for me either. Just to be.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, your privilege is showing there. It's like, I want a piece of the pie.
Where's my nonprofit organization? Last up, this one. Speaking of things that are rigged, the U.S. Senate, and Congress in general, has banded together very quickly to solve a very serious problem. And no, I'm not talking about the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Cassidy versus Planned Parenthood. No, I'm not talking about, politics and money that is all associated with that. And I'm not even talking about the insurrection that happened less than 2 years ago, a year and a half ago even.
Yeah, and we still have no resolution.
Still no resolution, no consequences for anybody of any substance, really, except the YouTuber, apparently, that's going to jail for 8 months. Yeah, I don't care about that. No, instead, what they've decided is that because the Supreme Court leaked this document, or the document from the Supreme Court got leaked about the overturning of Roe v. Wade, supposedly, and people decided we're going to take to the streets and protest outside these Supreme Court justices' houses, that we need to act quickly to pass legislation that extends security to the families of the Supreme Court justices. Two things on this. One, why wasn't that a thing already? That seems like something,
It should have been baked in.
Yeah, should have been part of it already. Not just the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court justices, but their families as well. Two, it's amazing how quickly they can all get on the same side when it's one of their own that's being threatened. And not even really like threatened, but, you know,
They're made to feel uncomfortable.
protested. Yeah, made to feel uncomfortable. And don't even get me started on Susan Collins calling the cops for somebody writing a message in chalk on her sidewalk outside her house.
This is just not my day, man.
It's not, apparently. I picked a bunch of stuff that Andre was like, yeah, I'm familiar with all of these, but I don't want to talk about any of them. Like, I got nothing.
It's so ludicrous that this is what we're talking about. This is, it's stupid.
We must protect them from the First Amendment.
That is a case of the First Amendment, right? Now, I will say this: I would not want to put somebody's family in harm or danger. Like, that is not the intent of this.
And it's not the point.
But can we get beyond? Can we stop looking over the fact that this is the type of law that we're going to rush to pass? Like, that is the stopping point for me. It's like, yeah, I don't want your family to feel threatened or in danger or get harmed. That is not the intent.
No.
But you guys are not a ruling class.
Right.
And every time I see even an interview with a representative of Congress, they give the air that they are a ruling class.
That they know better than the rest of us.
Yeah. They can eat all the bags.
Yeah. And we all know what's in those bags. Anyways, that is breaking the news this week. As always, we are here to cover the latest breaking stories, give you our takes on it, so that you don't have to scour the internet. And, I mean, you can think if you want to, but you also don't have to. You can just take our opinion. No, we actually encourage you to think. If you have a story that you'd like us to talk about next week, hit us up at comments@chrisandandreshow.com. As always, I'm Chris.
And I'm Andre.
And we'll see you next time.
So last week you totally got me, and I was like, I'm gonna play nice this week, and we'll see. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, it's Chris from the Chris and Andre Show here. Just wanted to say thanks for checking out our show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would, subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell so you get alerts when we post new videos, and leave a comment with your favorite part of the most recent episode that you watched. We'll see you on the next one.